Hey, today I'm going to illustrate how to harness infinite love. Now, wouldn't it be great to live your life and be ecstatic, blissful all the time? And you can check with your subconscious how much of this infinite love are you embodying right now. So you can say, hey subconscious, give me a number from 0 to 100 that represents the percentage of my embodiment of love. Now, love would be the nicest way to experience life. You would have most enjoyment if you would be in love. Okay? So, why don't we experience this? Because there's many ways to create in this reality, and they might not be aligned with love. So, a lot of things that we actually learn from what is already created in the world is a distortion of love. So that means that things that we share, sometimes traditions of our ancestors, sometimes family values, sometimes the ways that our societies work, is not always aligned with love. So many ideas that we might have, that we might habitually entertain, many things that we do, we may simply form habits that are, I have to do this. Oh, I have to do this. So it makes sense in the mind, yeah, I have to get up and I have to go and do that because I have to go and do that. But it is not giving you the expansion. It is not giving you the upliftedness. So we are habitual beings. That means that we have stored behavioral patterns that once we wake up, they load and then they animate us, right? We are very complex, therefore we have animation presets, okay, many of them, and they load. We call these habits. When they load, Super Mario goes about the world, either saying, hey world, what's up? Or, I have to do this. I have to do this. Yeah, but no, but I have to do that. And so you might be feeling drained by having those beliefs and behavioral patterns that are not love. So, how to harness infinite love? Now, if you would fall into the 0 point, which is, okay, so you are here illuming, you have a sweater that is kind of like a knitwear, it is loomed, then your cells are loomed together, your tissue is loomed together, your molecules are loomed together, your frequency bodies, it's all kind of like intricately loomed together. But you are an animation, your individuality, your avatar is an animation made of frequencies. And that is true for your physical and less denser bodies too. So your emotions, your thoughts, it's all knitwear, okay? So the 0 point is your consciousness without the knitwear. So the 0 point is like the 0 dimension. It's not yet dimensions of these like loomings that appear as my beard and my Santa Claus hat. It is where the quantum field, okay, beyond all dimensions. And that is right here, everywhere, okay? And on top of that, there is the appearance of reality. So the quantum is the infinite potential. And if you would go in your heart center or heart chakra, in the center of that there is a point. If you enter that point, there's the quantum dimension there, or subdimension, right? If you go in any of like dot in reality, with your imagination, you don't need to actually kind of like shrink down or whatever, because you're consciousness, so you are already transcendent of dimensions. So if you go in your heart with your imagination and imagine there's a center point right there, and then you enter it, you will come into this space. Now, there's this exercise, okay, I do this usually with clients because intellectually understanding this is kind of not enough. Like, so with my clients, when I teach meditation or we do healing work together, what I do is like, okay, so close your eyes and imagine there's a little dot, and then imagine you're going into the dot. And then I will ask them to tell me, when you enter the dot, are you now beyond space and time? And then they would intuitively say, oh yeah. And then I will ask, so who are you? And they will say, usually like no one, or just I am, or something like this, right? And then I will ask them also, are you omnipotent, meaning infinitely possible, or endowed with infinite possibilities? Or are you God? And they would say, yeah, yes, mostly it's based on the interpretation that their individuality have of these like questions. But the whole point is that in that center point of yourself, of your being, you are the infinite potential that creates this reality that looks like a dude. Okay? So that leads us to realization that you can actually invoke the infinite love, and you can make it like reloom, okay, all of these things in your individuality that are your habits and distorted habits of not love, of I have to do this, right? They can be kind of like reloomed so that you can vibrate as your God self. So how do we do this? And stay with me, because I'm going to tell you how to actually program your reality to do this for you. Like all the time. Like all the time. So you don't have to get like into... So first you can get into your like best self, your divine self. And then you can feel effortless, and you can feel all the synchronicities and abundance and the enjoyment of life. And then you can actually program your life to stay like that. So first of all is the understanding that the I am comes out of this infinite potential that is a subdimensional point inside of you. Because this point is beyond time and space, it's like also infinity, but it's like also a dot. Okay, so the way to kind of go in there is just by imagining that you see that point, that you feel that point, and then imagine there's a gravity that like drags you inside of that, and you just sink into it, and you feel the expansion of the 0 point dimension or subdimension. All right. The other thing is now to actually emanate. When we say invoking, it means we will emanate a new reality that will rewrite our current reality. It can also heal you. It can heal all levels. Your physical, emotional, mental bodies, everything can be rewired. How? If you say effortlessly, it will be done in an effortless way, because you are the omnipotence. Okay? So I will kind of say this in the experience of my client. So he would be kind of relaxed, coming into the void, into the 0 point, into the emptiness. So we would be now invoking qualities. And so what he would say is like, okay, I invoke like peace or love or relaxation or power or any of these. And then he would see the groove, like out of this emptiness, there would be like a groove emerging. And that groove would then kind of like move throughout of his body, right? So from inside, it will kind of like reverberate, okay, throughout his body. And then his like anxieties or emotions or whatever is happening there would be kind of cleared out, and then he would experience just a new feeling, overwhelming his field of being, individual field of being that we call the soul. Okay, so we activate the 0 point, and then we say, okay, I'm kind of like, so first of all we have to say, so I'm kind of open to get down with the 0 point. I'm open to feel that I can load any feeling and overwrite my whole individuality and effortlessly remove these distortion patterns. So we have to be prepared. We have to say intentionally that, so this 0 point is what we call God. And this individuality is what we call like my character, okay, my personality, my soul. So we have to say, I'm willingly surrendering whatever is accumulated as my personality. I'm willingly surrendering that to God or my innermost self. So that the God, okay, the innermost self, has the permission to override and overwrite anything that is not vibrating with my higher expression. So I surrender my emotions, my habits, my integrated energetic memory that forms my habits, my behavioral patterns. So we would say, you know, in a more kind of like what looked to me like a traditional way, how I first learned that people do this is like, God, I surrender myself to you. I surrender my thoughts, my habits, my emotions. I surrender everything to you. But see, there's no me here and God out there, and there's like a God that wants me to be like, to do something, right? There's no God that's actually kind of like judging you. Are you performing? And then scoring you, and then punishing you, right? And that God is out there, right? So that's not the God that we pray to. We're simply giving the allowance because the individuality has, now this is spiritual technology, okay? This is how it works. The individuality and every aspect of our individuality has a free will. And so the 0 point or the omnipotence or the quantum or God is indifferent. It's simply empowering all of the creation, even if that creation is love, or if something like really distorted and ends up being evil and hurtful to somebody else, it's all plugged. Okay, now distortions, they will dissolve. Okay, because universe has these cycles of time, and they will dissolve, or everything that is not aligned with actually love, symmetry and stuff is getting entropized. I guess that's a word. So it's getting dissolved. So we die, we age, we die and whatnot if we entertain these personality distortions. But we have free will to do so. So when we humble these appearances of what I can be as an animation, how can I express myself, blah, blah, blah. If I say, okay, whatever I was trying to do, I let that go, so I can become a rewritten version of myself, where that infinite self will emanate a version of me that is my divine version. And then all of these habits, energetic memories, impressions of life, they are not real anyway because they're animation, they're a game. I don't want to perpetuate them anymore. I'm trying to access something that feels nicer, feels better. So it's a win-win, this negotiation of a personal self with the God self. And I'm just saying, this is the personal self, the talking head and the tentacles, and the God self is there in the center point of the heart, right? So this negotiation is just saying, okay, permission given to reloom, to overwrite, and to dissolve any aspects of myself, personalities, subpersonalities, where I'm in a distortion, where I'm tripping balls, where I'm subscribing into a nightmarish reality. All right. So let me give you an example. So we'll say, so I'm an addict, right? We will say, like, I have an addiction to a substance. So that's literally, you're just dreaming yourself, and then you are saying, or you, I don't know, whoever would be saying this, right? No, you, not me, right? But somebody would be saying that they are an addict. So they would be dreaming themselves into a reality where they are addicted to a substance. And because the energy of previous words that have been said and previous actions that have been taken is stored here, then you wake up, you feel that, and you confirm to yourself, and then you re-loop, and you're in this loop, right? And then you manifest that reality, and then you do that again, you take that substance again, whatever. Like you like, what do they do with the... Right, so you do that again. But who are you? You are actually the 0 point. You are the consciousness beyond space and time. So you are entertaining yourself in a dream where you're choosing to re-loop in some identification with your thoughts, emotions, and your really habit of thinking and perceiving yourself is projecting your reality. Now, if this is why the instant healing is possible with, like, Jesus or any other, like, Peter Christ, you know, Melanie Christ. It's not just Jesus, you know, it can be Sally the Christ, or you know, give me some names, any name. Roxy the Christ, Foxy the Christ, Megan the Christ, George the Christ, Marco the Christ, you know, any Christ. But Jesus is the most famous of them all, so let's go with Jesus. So this is why he could instantly heal the people with, like, lepra or something, like, or whatever. This is possible because all of the disease or an ailment is just an accumulation of distortion in a field where consciousness is simply not going back to God to say, okay, what's happening here? Okay, let that go. Then everything relooms back into normal, right? But the consciousness is immersed in the individual, and it is sort of perpetually rebuilding the distortion and adding more distortion, right? So when we are identified with the immersion, with the first person point of view self, and we do not release that, surrender that to God, then we keep looping in an ailment, in a distortion. See how that works. And this is why also Jesus said, like, I will accept those who are ready to die as my students, or whatever, apostles. Come to me when you're ready to die, because if you still want to be identified with your thought patterns, your habits of thinking, that create your world reality experience, but you like it, then nobody can take your addiction away from you, nobody can heal you, nobody can do anything, because you're God. Perpetuating in distortion with your own free will, because you're playing in your own dreamscape. So you have the full authority over your life. If you don't want to give that way, if you like your thoughts, your identifications, your behavioral patterns, if you recognize self as those habits and you do not want to go into the unknown, into the dissolution of these, like, this nothing is real, right? So if you want to enter the 0 point, you will have to let everything go, because inside there's nothing. There's no appearance, there's no phenomena, right? So to recon or to rendezvous with God's self, you have to let everything go. There can be no attachment to anything. Everything needs to dissolve. This is the only way. And this is called samadhi, but it's also called death. So to die, to completely dissolve. And there might be sort of an obstacle to do this. You know how people do meditation? Oh, did I turn off the heater? Maybe I should go and eat something. How about maybe like smoking a joint? Or going out for a walk? So you start to meditate, and all of these programs are loading, trying to get your nervous system to go and do something. And then you have to battle these programs and like shut down these applications, unload them. But you know, you sit in a vipassana for 7 days, and they're just like coming up, coming up, coming up, coming up, and it's like, ooh, that was like intense. So if you have a regular practice of meditation, there might be less programs, so it might be not so intense. But here's a way to actually hack this, okay? So if you first can claim that you surrender all of your programs, and if you first claim that you are open and you want to believe and you do believe and you allow that this God self omnipotence can dissolve all of these programs in an effortless way, then you can also accept that you don't need to witness these programs. You can completely sink into complete effortlessness and relaxation, into emptiness in like few seconds or whatever, and all of these programs that would be animating your body could be just like melting away, right? So that's actually, if you are already in the emptiness, in the omnipotence, then you're able to also know this. If you are consciousness that has always been immersed in the first person and forgot about the spiritual technology and how everything works, then when you go to Vipassana or sit down to meditate, it's gonna be hella anxious there, right? But also, nobody tells you that it does not need to be. Because it can be like sinking into the zero and then just feeling bliss expanding and then feeling like, and then waves of energy that's emanated from the zero just clean out your programs, and then you stay empty. Now, this also might be a little bit intense. It can be preset to be intense. Like, here's an example. If I start to fall into the zero, my body just starts to do kriya and just unblock and like defragment and unwind and iron out all of the distortion and all the energies that have been accumulating in my body starts to purge, right? So this is when I fall into the zero, and the body just goes and does automatically everything. It's servicing itself. Now this kriya can be intense. It will feel like Kundalini going and all of the other bodies are activating and just purging you, right? It might be intense, But if you program that process to be effortless, then it can be very slow and smooth and effortless. Okay. So here's the ultimate way, and this will be like the end of this video. So here's the way to kind of like hack this. Okay. Now I already said what you do when you wake up are animation presets or behavioral patterns that are recorded in your body, okay? And we call them habits. Now these habits are recorded energetic memories or behavioral patterns, right? So they can be dissolved, and you don't have to like see what we do, like we're trying to quit smoking, quit drinking, you know, we're trying to start going to the gym, and then it takes like 40 days to form a habit, you know, and it's like, so you don't have to do it in this way. You can call the omnipotent self, say, hey God, install this new habit, I go to gym every day. I give you, and then you say like, God, I give you complete authority to override all of my other habitual patterns or whatever self-identity beliefs or whatever. Just make it effortless that I'm just doing that every day effortlessly, and it will relume your energetic memory, it will relume your fabric, it will relume your ideas, it will relume who you remember yourself to be, and will just load you a different reality. This is the easiest way to do it. So what I'm saying is that the omnipotence of your 0-point self is like overriding all of this energetic memory of your individuality. Only if you give it the permission. So the levels of permission that you can give, and how in all the ways that you can recreate yourself, only depend on how much do you know yourself, and how much do you know how everything works, how much do you understand how everything works, and how much do you have faith in the omnipotence, in the absolute power of your innermost self, or call it God. And this is why I'm explaining this over and 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 over again. Because it took me also as an individual, it took me to re-encounter with the emptiness and talk to it for years, okay? To like really understand how to play the game of life, how to apply. The one question that I was always asking is like, if I am that I am, if I am this God, emptiness, okay, that is self-fulfilled, that is actually fullness, but it's just like emptiness of phenomena. If I am that, what are my limitations as a human being? And the answer was always like, you choose. You choose your habits, your limitations, you choose. So everything is a choice. And your choice and discernment of what you choose, right, creates your reality, creates your experience. The experience of reality is a dream. It can be a nightmare, it can be like everything that you ever wanted or desired. Either way, even if it's a nightmare, it's what you chose. It's what you said okay to, right? So if somebody's advertising there's like, I don't know, a pandemic and you will die, and you say okay to that, then you will experience that. If you only choose that you are healthy, and you only choose that you are abundant, you will be healthy and abundant. If you only choose that you are the highest expression of yourself, then you will be that. if you choose that you're an addict, you will be that. You will be having, you will be consciousness having that experience of your individual persona or whatever soul individuality being in some sort of like addiction loop. It's very simple, and the level of authority is how well you know yourself. The level of authority is how you understand things to work. So I'm giving you just a illustration how things work. Now, do you want to like be involved with literally everything and kind of like design every single aspect of your life, or you will just go and pick up habits from everybody else, from your family, from your culture? You know, we're human, whatever. I don't think like even though believing that there's something wrong with you, that you have an addiction, that you cannot experience the divine love, the like love everything bliss, that's just an experiment of kind of like seeing the reality and the contrasts that this reality offers us. So I believe that actually every single soul that that has ever undergone an experience of suffering chose that. Like, wow, they're like suffering. I've actually worked with people where they say, I've incarnated here to experience suffering, and they say this in a meditation where they are actually in their higher self station of identity, where they live in a world where there is no suffering, and they come to earth because they are curious, because they cannot imagine what suffering would be. They're not familiar with that concept. It does not exist in their reality or in their bandwidth. Okay, so they're like, okay, so my soul script, I will come into this world, I will become a heroin addict, and I will have a punk band. And so on a grander level, it's all part of a divine comedy theater setup. But now we're talking about actually being self-aware in the game of life, being awakened in the game of life, and curating. So the level of authority that you have is how well you know yourself. Okay, so to give permission to rewrite yourself, you have to give permission to rewrite yourself. To believe that you can rewrite yourself, you need to give permission that the beliefs are installed where you feel just like, oh yeah, I have always known this. If you understand this rationally, what I'm sharing, but you don't feel like it's possible, then you can say, well, I surrender what I feel is possible to my God self, and I want to actually get the feeling and understanding that this is possible. When you say that, then whatever are your held beliefs will be dissolved and removed, so that there can be open space for new belief to be installed, and then you will come out of meditation, you will wake up tomorrow and be like, oh yeah, I believe, yeah, it's so easy to believe, it's so easy to feel. Like that was true all along. Because what you feel and what you believe is simply a layer, okay? It's a layer of clothing upon consciousness. So whether you want to identify with your clothing or you want to give permission that this clothing can be changed is really up to you. Now, I could say, you know, I got this clothing, it's kind of like silly. Alright, but I love it. And somebody may come and say, why don't I update you? Why don't I pimp you out? Why don't I get you like everything like super stylish and just like you can look like Osho, like like a little kid in a glittery dress with a turban, right? And I'd be like, I don't want to give this away. I love this. I love this. I love this. I love this. Like that's who I am. That's my role. That's my. I'm addicted. I love it. And even though it's like not what I could be, even though it's self-harmful, I'm like, it's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting for me. And this is because on the other side of this game of life, you don't care. You don't suffer. Nothing ever has been going wrong. You're not born. You do not die. You just want to try everything out. So why not? Just be like, right? So there's some fun. There's some fun. Like being homeless, being poor, being broke, being sick, having a heroin addiction, your head being cut off by guillotine, right? I was burned, definitely. I was burned once in the game of life. I was burned alive on a stake because I was a witch. Everything is an anecdote after the experience is integrated and healed. It's funny, yes. I was burned alive. Amazing. Like I had that experience. So it's literally to your higher self, it's not so different than just playing Sims on your computer. But now we are here and we are the Sims, and for some of us it's like totally cool to be where we are. And for some of us it's like, I want to die and be reborn in a new clothing, right? And this is why I'm sharing this video, because I'm a rebirth coach or teacher or just another Sims, just reflecting upon rebirths. And rebirths are simply, okay, you know what? I'm tired of this episode and I'm tired of these clothes, so let me get a revamp. So I will give away my habits, I will give away my clothes, I will give away everything to the innermost self to dissolve, and then I will order new everything. And I can give everything up and I can order whatever I want. Because guess what? I was never actually the Super Mario. I was always the God inside. Alright. That's what's up in the game of life. I'll see you on the